The metallic clink of my wedding ring hitting the polished mahogany nightstand echoed through the thick silence of the room. Louder than it had any right to be. I watched the band twirl, catching dim light as it spun in a blur before toppling over with a muted thud. Across the room, Amelia flinched. It was subtle, barely more than a twitch, but I noticed. I'd been noticing everything. It had begun quietly. Too many late nights at work. Hushed conversations behind closed doors. A perfume clinging to her that I didn't recognize. A scent that didn't belong to us. At first I tried to ignore it. But unease grew roots in my chest, and I couldn't shake the sense that something had cracked between us. So I started staying late too, but not at work. I followed her. Shadows became my allies, my suspicion a guide. And then I saw him. Tall. Dark-haired. Oozing smugness. He met her at a low-lit bar where their fingers laced together on the table, as easily as their laughter did. I watched from across the street. Raindrops streaking the glass like teardrops I refused to shed. My heart was pounding, my fists clenched. But I didn't storm in. I didn't make a scene. Instead, I chose patience. I chose strategy. I didn't confront her that night. Nor the one after. I observed. I collected proof. And I prepared. I even scheduled a couples therapy session. A sick sort of poetry that made my stomach churn, but also gave me the perfect setting for what I had planned. The evening of our session, I returned home early. I arranged everything like a scene from a memory. 2 glasses of good wine. The kind we saved for anniversaries, and the soft melancholic tones of Miles Davis playing from the record player. That album used to be the backdrop to our love. Now it played like a funeral dirge. She walked in and stopped. Her smile was faint. A rehearsed gesture that didn't reach her eyes. "Wine?" she asked, her voice thin, wary. "Of course," I replied, smooth and unreadable. "Thought we could relax a bit before therapy." She took the glass, her hand trembling as she sipped. Her coat, long dark, almost swallowing her whole, remained on, as though she didn't intend to stay. "Is everything all right?" she asked, glancing around like she was searching for an exit. I didn't answer. I simply stared at her as I removed my ring and set it on the nightstand. That tiny click was deafening. And then it happened. Her eyes flickered, panic flashing just briefly before she shifted under her coat. When her hand came back into view, her wedding ring had miraculously returned. The same ring she hadn't worn in weeks. She slid it on in desperation, as though the presence of it could rewrite the truth or shield her from what she knew was coming. The therapy session that followed was a performance of restrained fury. I laid out everything, the timeline, the lies, the name I'd uncovered, Riley. I handed over photographs, printouts of messages, even a hotel invoice. The therapist, a young woman with startled eyes, looked like she was watching a slow-motion disaster unfold. Amelia tried to deny it at first. Stuttered words, broken explanations. Her mask, once carefully placed, crumbled fast under the weight of facts. Her protest turned to sobbing, then into frantic begging. "I didn't mean to," she wept. "I don't even know how it started. I love you. Please, I still love you." I looked at her then, not the way a husband looks at his wife, but as a man seeing a stranger. I saw the ring on her finger, shining like a hollow promise. "You know," I said softly, my voice cold but steady. "Riley called you earlier. He was worried about this session." Her face drained of color. She hadn't known I'd visited him. She hadn't seen me corner him in his apartment. He'd folded fast. Fear does that. Gave me everything, dates, details, confessions. He was so eager to save himself that he didn't think twice before throwing her under the bus. Right there, in that small therapist's office, I had her served with divorce papers. I'd made arrangements with a friend of mine, a lawyer, to deliver them at just the right moment. Amelia's expression when she realized what was happening was a mix of horror, disbelief, and deep, gutting heartbreak. I should have felt vindicated. Maybe I did. A little. But the real consequence came after. Her carefully curated life unraveled. Friends turned away. Her image shattered. Riley vanished, cut ties and disappeared, afraid of what his own wife might find out. What once had been their secret thrill became public shame. She lost everything for a handful of stolen moments. As for me, I survived. The pain lingered, yes, like a bruise that refused to fade. But I learned to live with it. I focused on work, reconnected with friends, and rediscovered what joy looked like when it wasn't tangled in betrayal. Slowly, I started dating again, carefully, hesitantly, but with clarity, with self-respect. Months later, I was having dinner with someone new, laughing softly over dessert, when I spotted her. Amelia, alone in the corner of the restaurant. Her once shining hair hung dull around her shoulders. Her clothes were worn, her eyes tired. She looked empty. She saw me. For a moment, recognition sparked, followed by regret perhaps. Maybe even the ghost of the woman I'd once loved. But she looked away quickly, as if embarrassed to be seen. I didn't go over. What was left to say? Instead, I raised my glass in a silent gesture. Not to revenge, but to release. The faint chime of my new wedding ring tapping the glass was quiet, but it was enough. It meant something. It meant I'd moved on.